Hi everyone, I'm John. Welcome back to my channel. And it's been a while since I've done a Friday Reads video, but I just happen to be in the middle of, or very soon will be in the middle of, 4 books that all happen to revolve around the third quarter of Historathon, which is an event that was started by Vin at Revenant Reads that's all about reading history and history adjacent books. And for the third quarter, what we're reading are books from the year 1500 to 1820, either written in those years or books written about those years. And like I said, I have 4 here, 2 of which I'm in the middle of, about, and 2 of which I will have started by the end of this weekend. So I'll start with the 2 that I've already started, both of which are, so I'm almost halfway through both of them, and both are looking like they're going to be maybe among the best books of the year, at least the year so far. And one of them is this, Revolutionizing the Sciences, European Knowledge in Transition from 1500 to 1700 by Peter Deere. It is a Princeton University Press book. It's quite small. It's meant to sort of be a supplemental reading text for probably upper level undergraduates, lower level graduate students who are looking to do history of science, history of, intellectual European history, stuff like that, based around the sciences, natural philosophy, in the late Middle Ages coming into the scientific revolution. And it's really fascinating. Sort of topical chapters, including, I'll show you, what was worth knowing in the year 1500. So, obviously, 1500, we're coming, that's going to be Aristotle. Aristotle and scholasticism are still reigning in most places in the year 1500. But then it shows how things were slowly displaced by an increasingly popular humanist movement, which sort of butted heads with Aristotelianism and scholasticism. And this book sort of just looks at all the implications of that that disjunction, that sort of battle. Of course, humanism sort of finally wins out and ends up having to do quite a bit with the rising scientific revolution. But he also talks about how there are some really important thinkers and scientists who, even though we associate them with the scientific revolution, went out of their way to create continuities with scholasticism and with the ancient Greeks and Romans in order to boost their own credibility. Because, of course, humanism was not built in a day, so it's interesting to see him talk about those transitions. How, for example, Copernicus would talk about Ptolemy and the Almagest, the famous book of astronomy that was used for well over a millennium. And then Copernicus comes along and sort of suggests definitively that the Earth is not in the middle of the solar system, and maybe instead that the sun is. But Copernicus references Ptolemy extensively in his book, in which he shows that the sun is actually in the middle of the solar system. So it's interesting, and he does this with a couple of other thinkers too. I'm only about 70 pages through the 150 or 170 or so page book. Really, really interesting, shaping up to be fascinating stuff. The other book I've started, and I'm at exactly the page 300 in a 800 page book, also shaping up to be absolutely spectacular, is Fatal Discord: Erasmus, Luther, and the Fight for the Western Mind by Michael Massing. And it is, with notes, just under 1,000 pages long. But it is sort of a dual biography told in alternating chapters between Erasmus's life and Luther's life, from their late childhood / early adulthood formative years, but also giving you a lot of insight into the cities they were from, the travels they did, the intellectual climate that they lived in, the ideas they were wrestling with. So it's not just a strict biography, it's a double biography, but with a lot more than that incorporated into it. If you are still looking for something for Q3, if this subject interests you, and you think you have enough time left in Q3, I guess we only have, about 5.5 weeks left, something like that. Like I said, I'm not finished with it yet, but this is looking like it will also be a spectacular book all the way through the end. Now, 2 books that I kind of wanted to read to supplement Fatal Discord. One of them is a biography of Luther, and this is Andrew Pettigree's book, Brand Luther: How an Unheralded Monk Turned His Small Town into a Center of Publishing and made himself the most famous man in Europe, and started the Protestant Reformation. So, an unwieldy subtitle, to say the least, but also kind of a biography, obviously, but with a biography with a twist, a biography with a sort of particular bent, and that is his history and associations with various publishing houses throughout the early 16th century in Europe. And in fact, Fatal Discord discusses the relationship of, I forgot whether it was Luther or Erasmus. I think it was Erasmus, when Erasmus goes to Venice and meets Aldus Manutius, the famous Venetian book publisher and bookseller. That was a really interesting chapter, but also an aside. And I also picked this out from my library. I was sort of looking for things to supplement the big 800-page book, and I have never read The Praise of Folly, and I don't think I've ever read anything else by Erasmus directly. So I figured I could maybe start this. This is The Praise of Folly and Other Writings by Erasmus in a Norton Critical Edition. And it has not only The Praise of Folly, but also, The Complaint of Peace, Julius Excluded from Heaven, which of course is came really close to getting him in serious trouble. His attack on Julius II, Pope Julius II, some of the colloquies, and a few letters. And of course, my favorite part of the Norton Critical Editions are the back matter, the critical apparatus part at the end by scholars, people who have interpreted and spent some of their careers looking at what Erasmus has to say. So these are the books that I'm in the middle of, or soon will be in the middle of. Let me know what you're reading this weekend, and I will talk to you later.